The average person who goes to school has no idea why humanity exists. He has no idea concerning a spiritual factor in material existence. He has no general comprehension of the rules of life as these differ from the rules of social and political structures. He does not know where he came from. He does not know why he is here, and he has no idea where he's going. And on this compound ignorance, we offer degrees and make brilliant scholars of the people who have never answered any of those questions. It is one of these amazing things that we have created a great hierarchy of well-lettered ignorance. We have made everything subservient not to wisdom, but to the passing advantages of the hour. We're in exactly this position politically today.
Everything you need to know is this. Truly, this. Whatever options are available to you at any given moment, choose the one that contains more excitement than any other, even if it's just a little bit more. Act on it to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Do this with integrity. Do this with absolutely no assumption, no insistence on what the outcome ought to be or how it should look or how you should get there whatsoever. When you do that, 3-part formula, act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome, you open up and activate the kit, the toolkit of excitement. The toolkit contains everything you need to be supported in life in whatever form it needs to come in, the driving engine that moves you through life, the organizing principle of synchronicity that allows you to do what you need to do when you need to do it in perfect timing, in perfect order. It becomes the path of least resistance that allows you to flow through your life effortlessly. It becomes the path that connects you to all other expressions of your excitement, even if they don't look like they're connected on the surface. It's the excitement that tells you that they are. And it becomes the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within your consciousness that might be out of alignment with that excitement, so that you can identify those definitions that don't work for you and let them go and add their energy to your excitement and continue to expand. And then any circumstance whatsoever, any situation whatsoever that arises from those actions, no matter how it looks, if you give it a positive meaning, you will only get a positive and beneficial effect, regardless of how the situation may have originated, regardless of anyone else's opinion or experience in that situation. That's it. That's all you need to know. Now, many people on your planet choose to complicate things beyond that and make them more difficult, but they don't have to. If they do, then that's their process. But it all comes down to understanding that what you believe to be true, what you define to be true, is how you experience your reality. And that your beliefs generate your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors. So anytime you have a behavior you don't prefer, a thought you don't prefer, a feeling you don't prefer, you can always trace it back down the line to something you must believe to be true that you're not aware of. Find out what that belief and definition is. When you identify it, if it's out of alignment with your true self, you will find that it will suddenly be nonsensical and illogical, and you'll drop it and let it go. If you don't drop it, if you still behave the same way, you haven't found the deeper belief yet. Keep digging. That's it. That's all you actually need to know. And one more thing. As you do this, as you move through life in this way, acting on your highest excitement, you will start living more in the present, living more in the moment, and because of that, you will know what you need to know when you need to know it.
3 magic steps to produce reality. First is imagination, which is so powerful it's almost real. Second is faith, which is so close to real it's unbelievable. Third is putting imagination and faith to work, muscle, action. That final word, action. is responsible for all reality.
Intuition is your form of recognizing, I've just had a hit. I'm getting information. Here's what is true. You won't become clearly intuitive if you don't have the capacity or the courage to follow your small intuitive hits. If you can't follow that, you sure aren't going to get a big one.
How do you know when it's truly intuition and not wishful thinking or not, imagination?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because intuition makes you feel uncomfortable. Fantasy doesn't.
Oh, wow. Now you better say that again. Intuition makes you feel uncomfortable.
Fantasy doesn't. It's that kind of funky feeling. And somehow or other, with clear intuition, comes a package of courage that you don't get with fantasy. It's like a little battery that gets plugged into your solar plexus, gets plugged into your gut, and it begins to boom, 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 throb constantly. It's relentless, and it gets louder at night. You can count on it. Intuition becomes absolutely obnoxious at night, all right? Until you start doing something about it. And when you start following it, then you begin to experience the phenomenon of synchronicity. Whereas, if it's a manufactured fantasy, you don't get that kind of help. You absolutely don't get that kind of help.
You get closed doors.
Yeah, you get closed doors, or, people are reminded to forgive and let go. When people are holding on to grudges or can't think kindly of somebody, think of how many times you're reminded, will you get on with it and let this go? Now, what intuition generally does is it's a form of guidance for tomorrow and for today, to make the right choices today so that your tomorrow plays out the way it should. You can't get a clear intuitive hit because you're unable to act on it. You enter fog. You enter chaos. And it's a healing chaos. It's a protective chaos because you're not able to move forward anyway until you let go of the past. So all your intuition will be telling you is, let go of the past, because without doing that, I cannot give you a clear choice about tomorrow because you don't have the energy nor the focus to act on it. When you get an intuitive hunch, and usually intuitive hunches will direct you to take the most outrageous path in your life, take it.
In our continuing search for knowledge and understanding, there is another major discipline that will help us to capture the information around us so that our future will be better than the past. Keeping a personal journal. A journal is a gathering place for all of our observations and discoveries about life. It is our own handwritten transcript, narrated in our own words, which captures the experiences, ideas, desires, and conclusions about the people and events that have touched our lives. A journal provides us with two remarkable benefits. First, it allows us to capture all aspects of the present moment for future review. The events that take place in our lives, experiences that we live and learn from, should not just happen. They should be captured so that their lessons can be invested in the future. The past, when properly documented, is one of the best guides for making good decisions today that will lead to a better tomorrow. While it is true that every event is recorded in the brain, we cannot always access the specifics surrounding those events at will. Often the details can become blurred or distorted over time. We may remember the outcome, but we may have forgotten the exact sequence of events or the decisions that were made. Without accurate information to enhance our recall of the past, we run the risk of repeating many of the same errors over and over again. Without a journal, those special moments those milestones of emotion and experience, will be blown by the winds of our own forgetfulness into a deep corner of the mind where their value will become lost forever. The emotion of that special moment, unless captured in a journal, will soon fade. We may recall the event, but we will have lost the emotion. The second benefit of keeping a journal is that the very act of writing about our lives helps us to think more objectively about our actions. Writing tends to slow down the flow of information. As we pause to gather our thoughts about an event we are trying to capture on paper, we have time to ponder and to analyze the experience. We begin to see more clearly the sources of our information, the facts on which we based our decisions, and the action we are taking in response to our beliefs. In other words, it is not just the event, but also our personal philosophy that comes under intense scrutiny in the process of capturing our lives on paper. And it is this intense scrutiny that enables us to make refinements to our philosophy that are truly life-changing. The discipline of keeping a journal also develops our ability to communicate more effectively. The more we practice capturing events and emotions with words, the more clearly we are able to communicate not only our ideas, but also the inherent value that exists within us. It is an interesting fact that when President Kennedy was assassinated, the personal journals of some of the country's most influential leaders captured the events of that sad day. As Air Force One cut through the sky from Dallas to Washington bearing the body of the slain president, many sat in silence, recording in their journals their vivid recall of the tragedy. It was one of those rare events when history was recorded as it happened, not merely speculated on by historians in a distant era. That combination of written accounts later served as the basis for William Manchester's The Death of a President, one of the greatest historical documents ever written. Most men and women of accomplishment maintain and frequently review their personal journals. It is second nature to them. They seem to possess an inherent instinct that tells them that a life worth living is a life worth documenting. In fact, the process of making a deliberate and consistent habit of writing in journals may well be a major reason for their rise to above-average levels of achievement. It is the small disciplines that lead to great accomplishments. When average people give care and attention to important matters, their own growth into greatness merely awaits the passage of time. Both small disciplines and minor mistakes in judgment tend to accumulate, the former to our benefit, and the latter to our detriment. Neither success nor failure occurs in a single cataclysmic event. Both are the result of the accumulation of seemingly small and insignificant decisions, whose collective weight over the period of a lifetime presents the individual with his or her proportionate reward. The use or the neglect of journals is not indispensable to the achievement of success. But the use of a journal is an important piece of the life puzzle called philosophy. By neglecting the journal, the puzzle can never be truly complete. Surely our lives are worth more than a birth certificate, a gravestone, and $500,000 in consumed goods and services compressed between those major milestones in our lives. Journals are the tools that enable us to document the details of the failure as well as the progress of our existence, and in the process, allows us to become more than we otherwise might have been. We are rapidly becoming a nation of passive intellects. The continued neglect of our reading and our writing skills is leading to increasingly undisciplined thinking habits. If we doubt this, we need only to look at how many of our loved ones are turning to drugs, how many of our citizens are involved in violent or white-collar crimes, and how many of our children are dropping out of school. Poor thinking habits, poor values, poor decisions, and if this trend remains unchecked, we could soon decline to the level of a third-rate power. We cannot become a stronger nation until our attention to the essentials of life begins to change. The ability to establish more competent leadership in our government, our schools, our churches, our businesses, and our communities lies in the emerging value of the individual. That is why each of us must make a commitment to develop our full human potential, one discipline at a time, one book at a time, and one small entry in our journal at a time. Only by our personal philosophy can we change not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. Whenever a new idea comes our way, we subconsciously place this idea on our mental scales and weigh it to determine what level of action we need to take on the idea. Those ideas that measure high on our scale receive immediate attention. Those that measure low on our scale receive only minimal or infrequent notice. Whatever level of action we determine to be correct will ultimately be decided by our philosophy. If we have failed to gather adequate knowledge, or if we have failed to refine or add to the knowledge we possess, then a significant number of our decisions may move us away from success rather than toward it. If we are inclined to spend major time on minor things, or even major money on minor things, then it is essential for us to take a closer look at our decision-making process. The world is filled with those whose decisions are destined to destroy their chances for success. Those who do not operate from a sound philosophy often do that which they should have left undone and leave undone that which they should have done. They fail to set goals and establish priorities. They vacillate between one decision and another. They sense that they should be doing something, but lack the discipline to convert this awareness into action. Every day is filled with dozens of personal crossroads, moments when we are called upon to make a decision regarding minor as well as major questions. It is important to remember that each and every one of the choices we make during these moments of decision charts a path leading to some future destination. Just as the sum total of our past decisions has led us to our current circumstances, the decisions we make today will lead us to the rewards or the regrets of the future. Choices, decisions, selections. Each provides us with an opportunity to determine the quality of our future. And each demands that we prepare in advance for the decision that is to be made. In those moments of choice, it is the knowledge we have acquired and the philosophy we have developed from this knowledge that will either serve us or destroy us. That is why we must be found constantly preparing for the unanticipated confrontation with important choices. Only through careful mental preparation can we consistently make wise choices. What we think determines what we believe. What we believe influences what we choose. What we choose defines what we are, and what we are attracts what we have. If we are not happy with where our past decisions have led us, then the place to start is with our current thinking process. As we add new knowledge, we will begin to refine our philosophy. As our beliefs change, so too will our choices. And from better choices come better results. The development of a sound philosophy prepares us for making sound decisions. Like the architect, we must learn to see in our minds the result we wish to achieve, and then go to work on building a solid foundation to support this vision. Once the vision is clearly defined and the foundation has been firmly established, then the choices required to complete the structure are easily and wisely made.